Welcome back to the GLAC Studios oil painting tutorial. I'm Gomati Sivasankaran. We are in class 9 of Santhana Lakshmi painting. Santhana Lakshmi is the one of the 8 forms of Lakshmi avatars that are known for all the positive propensities of life. And Santhana refers to progeny, so she is this goddess of progeny. We have been working on this painting for a while now, starting with the layers 1. There was a wash, and 2 was a filling, blocking, and then we moved on to layer 3, which was giving us an insight into what is dark versus what is light. Then we moved on to build into this dark versus light with a lot of depth, and for that we did have to do a lot of detailing, so it went hand in hand, and that was our layer 4. Today we kickstart layer 5. Layer 5 is going to be more of nuances, more detailing into every single inch, every single section, every single millimeter of this canvas. So we focus first on the skin tone of Santhana Lakshmi herself first, and then we will move on to the skin tone of the baby girl, and then we will move on to working on the jewelry, and finally on the rest of the elements that is there in this picture to finish up the whole painting. So this is going to be the final layer. Few things about this layer that I would like to mention. From a course point of view, I want you to learn how to take an idea into a canvas and build some logic to it, build some depth to it, nuances to it, and reach to a certain extent. And that's exactly what I have done or tried to do in these courses. But layer 5 doesn't necessarily mean that you must stop with layer 5. So it's up to you to grow that idea. So you are hooked on to the core ideas, the core logic. So it's up to you as an artist to build your own technique, build your own methodology, build your own goal points, and say, okay, I will take it even further. I can do a little better. And that's exactly what I would love for you to do also. So take this classes as a good starting point for you to open up these ideas, but do aim for a little more once you are getting better and better with it. I think you will. That is one thing. Another thing, common thing that you will see in layer 5 is that I'll be using a little more of this linseed oil than you have seen me do it before. But I will also show you the technique how to check that it is the right amount to take or not. Because this being the final layer, I would do fat over lean. So there is a lot of oil, not a lot, but there will be a little more than what you see usually that I'm doing. So with these basic points, let's get on to today's work, being the skin tone. In the last layer also, I had split the skin tones into 2 sessions, A and B, because we were focusing on the skin tones of the the girl here, and then we moved on to the skin tones of the little baby girl here. So, and it was really intense. Let's see how far we catch up with the skin tones, and if we can manage both today in this class. If it is intense, then we can split it into a couple of sessions. Let's see how far it can go and how far we can take it. Doesn't matter how far I have done it. If you need a break, you take a decision and set this video in a pause and do some of it and then come back and do it. One thumb rule I would say that Unlike the other sessions where I said, okay, you can take a pause, we do it in any way. This, try to take a short pause and come back to this canvas on the same day, because this being final layer, you want the same colors. You don't want to mix a fresh set of colors tomorrow or day after, you see. So maybe you will have to do them in one go. So yeah, take short breaks but come back soon. So that's something that I would advise you to do. Let's now get on with the work. For the colors, I will be using, I think I will be sticking on to the basics of using primary yellow, permanent yellow, yellow ochre, crimson, vermilion for the darker shades, and for the lighter shades, sorry, for the lighter shades, and for the darker shades, that will be ivory black, burnt umber, and such. I have been mixing colors already in my palette, but I will show you what else I am doing and how exactly I have arrived at a color. Um, and that's about the colors. The brushes are going to be really, because we are going to work in nuances. I will stick to zero brushes, one brushes, flat and round, one flat and round, zero, 000 micro brushes. I think I will just stick to these brushes today. Most of it. I don't see the need for any other brush. That's about it. Are we ready? Let's kickstart. So this color, I think in the last time itself we had done, I have some mixture already here that is kind of close to what I want. And this is a mixture of permanent yellow, yellow ochre, and a little more of crimson to give that blush. And I had made a darker tonality with that. I added a little more of titanium white to get it to a lighter tonality. But what I have also is a little more of oil here than needed. So the way I would introduce oil is that again I will use my same zero or brush one, brush one or brush zero, and I would see if the oil is just flowing down here very nicely. This is not a good idea. So when I mix, I will make sure that the oil is fluid and it is it is slightly of a consistency that could build transparency here, but it doesn't flow down. It should just stick like that. That's what is my checkpoint when I hold the palette vertically, and that will be something that I check every time I work on the final layer. And the color is good enough for the lighter shades. I want to go for those lighter shades one. So it is transparent. So what is happening here is that you are getting to see the previous layer also through this layer. And I'm using this color for the lighter areas on the skin tone in her hands as well. Okay, that was our lighter shades coming up. Let's move on to the darker shades, slightly darker shadows. These ones again I will I'm adding a little more of oil to see if I can be it's slightly transparent but not too fluid, so it's not running down. That is good. I'm ready for the shading. Yes, it works well. So now I need to, what I have is slightly darker shade here, but we will balance it out. Very, very lightly adding in the shade underneath the eye and such, all these places. Hands. So it is typically, what we did in our previous lessons. When we start, it looks like we are just filling, but we are filling a couple of colors, color tonalities and such. Cool. The fingers, I am adding the lighter tonality first, a little bit. We'll work on the details shortly. The details is where the fun is, isn't it? It could change the whole dimension of the picture. Okay, so we are now going to keep this brush aside. Whatever I had used was flat brush number 1. Now I move on to a 000 brush. To first start blending things a little bit. So I get to see portions where I want to adjust a little bit also. So I'm adding the same lighter tonality a tiny bit here to, blend it even further. That helps. Cool. So I can see, I'm doing it only in the face now. I just wanted to see how these colors will go. And also the neck. Fine. Now I think I am, okay, I also need to do the same thing in the ear. Done. Now I think I'm ready to work on some detailing. Pulling out my micro brush. Burnt umber will be the starting point first. But just before that, I also remember that her eye color that we did was gray. Yeah, we did use the gray shade. So to this burnt umber, I'm going to add, yes, ivory black. So that's really on the side of close to pitch dark, but not too dark. Yeah, I want this color combination to be ready with me, and to this I will add a tiny bit of titanium white or such, to build in a nice steel gray shade. Yeah, I would have this ready. That is a nice gray shade because it is slightly browny as well, and I like that. To work on her iris pupil area once. Once that is done, I think we will need this color also for the baby girl later. So we'll keep this. That's why I mixed a little more. I saw the need of it. Because here the need is only in her eye. Yeah, that's really a beautiful shade. Okay. Now I take a tiny bit of ivory black itself, just ivory black, to go over the contour of this eye nicely, and the center, the pupil. These are all really minute expressions, but they make a difference. And I want to give this, I'm going to take in my tip of my micro brush, I'm taking white, because I'm going to give a slight bit of glow in her eyes, gleam in her eyes. That is good. And now it's time for me to work on her, the range of her eye, the shape of her eye as well. I'm going to use the burnt umber black mixture, not the one that is lighter, a slightly darker one. Slightly darker one, yes. Yeah, just testing whether the darker one or the lighter one works. Slightly darker than this, yes. So I have taken that to start working on the eye shape. Over here as well. Yes. And I'm just building the shape of her eyelid as well. We have done that in the previous, but I'm just going to adjust it also a little bit. I see scope for improvement. Also the place where the shading of her eye has to start for the under eye, there is a minor shift. I'm just realizing that and adjusting that as well here in this. Okay, every angle really counts, so I'm just trying to play that out here ever so lightly. So you see that it's really marked strongly now, but we are going to work on it. So we go back to the skin color that I used. first fill that section nicely and also define the space of the eyelid clearly. Then I wanted to, wherever the adjustments has to go, minor color shifts really help. So I'm adding the lighter tonality also slightly over that contour that I have made. Yeah. Now let's start taking a little more of the skin color to blend here underneath the eye. Blend the shade a little bit. Huh? There is somehow a minor shift in the zone of the eye. I'm just trying to correct. I think, okay, this one fits fine. This one fits fine, but here, yes, I understood. So I'm going to take in some more of the skin color to highlight this portion a bit, so we are getting an opportunity to correct that portion as well. Yes, right underneath the eye. So it is a complex area. So I'm adding a bit of this lighter shade to very lightly accentuate and give that effect. Here as well, but this is too light, so I want to mellow it down, blending it in. Good, that takes care of it. I'm going to use that grayscale shade that we used for her eye to work on the pores of the nostrils. I think, okay, now I know. There was a mistake that I had to fix, okay. It was a little too big. So I'm wiping off the brush to take the skin color to go around that nostril pore. Also underneath that space. Yes. Blending that shade in now. Ever so lightly wiping off the brush. As frequently as is needed, yeah. I like the thin gray shade to show also in the nostril area where the the fold is. That's where the fold of the angle is, yeah. Created that. These are minor areas, but they do matter. Because every single section of this, now I'm going to add a bit of crimson here. In the area where there is this, the fold of the eye, the nose bridge building up and such, I want to use the blush there and also create a little bit of blush in the cheek. So I'm just adding this wildly I think we did that also in our previous lesson, where we focused on the lesson where we focused on the skin tone. So we have done this, playing around with crimson highlights, and you can add a bit of burnt umber to this if you want it to be slightly darker in the places where you decide to have it such, and then start blending things in. So it takes a while, so be very gentle. While it blends. Yes, the fastest way is to use a bigger brush and such. That's also a good idea. I'm just choosing to use this small brush to continue the highlight shading here. Okay, and then also take that to the chin, cheek line and such, and now you can go back to using the lighter skin tone, little bit on top of this to balance it out. So a drop of it would start, supporting us in balancing out this shade here, bringing it nicely. I'm pulling it also down to the nostrils because I like the shade. I like what it is doing, and I can see that it is changing the whole plane very nicely. Some more of the skin tone to go here to blend in. I'm going to take a bit more. Now I can safely move to a 000 brush. Taking a bit more of this darker skin tone here and here, and throwing that in. Slowly, steadily keep working. I think we have put in some space for the baby hair. I think we can pull this color that we have made up there also a little bit. Nothing to worry because this shade is going to complement that. If you are a little bit, scared of blending bold colors, hey, this is where we learn, we can make mistakes and learn from this exercise. But if you are concerned, you can wait until this session is over and also try to do things. Now as I'm doing, I'm also, the space where the eyebrow is getting slightly, blended in. I'm not worried about it. I'm going to do that again shortly. So this darker tonality is just given a nice shade. And I want that also to reflect a little bit in behind her neck. So I'm just taking that burnt umber a little bit here in this neck area, and crimson. So we take a little more of the skin color, tap it on here, to start, blending them. That varied shade is now come in, and I wanted that to form a layer. Yes, once that is formed, it's easier to lighten up a little bit. Spotting a little bit of this lighter shade that we mixed. Now I'm just gonna blend that in the right places where I see that there is a tiny highlight, not too much. Yes. And I'm just taking that shade also across her ear. The shades are coming out right now, but we need to work a little bit more on the contours again. So it's a balance. Okay, I'm going to work on the contours. Taking the micro brush, I want to take a tiny bit of titanium white to do the contours boldly here. On this section, okay, that contour is fixed. Let's look at the contour of the neck. All cool here. I'm going to start blending in that white very lightly. Everything is done with a micro brush, so you know that it isn't too much here of a shade. I'm trying to take care of that remaining section of white in the eye because it seems like it is kind of missing or too light. So I have adjusted it now. The colors are sounding okay now. It is a little too fair, I can see, in some places, and a little too, it's on the extreme. So we will build it slowly while we work on few other things. So with just her hair, and I remember we used only yellow ochre, and we added to the yellow ochre we added burnt umber in sections needed. So I'm just going to go and do the touch with yellow ochre. It has an even finer finish than yellow ochre. There is a golden effect to it. So I'm just going to take primary yellow ochre to lighten it up. But yellow also has this, brightness that will give an idea of gold, and it will almost equal the shade of her clothing. So to this I am adding a bit of titanium white here. So it is lightened up. Everything is done really minor portions. So it's, this is light yellow, nice golden hair color. Fairly there. Burnt umber a tiny bit to bring it down. I guess this is fairly okay now. That's a good color tonality. So it's got a little bit of yellow tinge to it. Okay, I've got the color that I needed. I'm just going on doing the hair patterning, designing here. Cool. Now it's time to throw in the burnt umber and ivory black strokes to this. Using the burnt umber first. I'm testing in the areas where I've already made some zones, made some partitions. So it's easier for me to check if the color is different or not. Okay, now I think I'm ready to do some more strokes of hair. We couldn't do it with this color tonality earlier. We were working on only the hair block and not the overall hair fall, how the structure is, and pulling the hair down to her shoulder. I need to do some of it here. Some more locks of hair going around like this. Given a nice finish here. Also starting with the baby hair one more time. This was a very, important, crucial part of the work on her face as well. So we could do that when the color is slightly darker, and then it helps for us to light it exactly in the places where we should. So I have just given some strokes, but they all look alike because it's just the same permanent yellow with yellow ochre lightened up a little bit with titanium white. So I'm just now going to give some darker streaks here. Okay, that kind of fits in, but right now I want to work also on the baby hair, so I'm just putting in very, very tiny shades and strokes with the same burnt umber, but not too much, really minor strokes to give you a feel of the hair in the front. Good. Now the skin color also, that is dark, that's also there, so that is helpful. And now let's work on the eyebrow with this color of hair. Now how will I adjust things? Yeah, I wanted the eyebrow has to be slightly flatter here. Bringing it down, and I'm just doing what do you call, tiny dots to build them. So I know where the shade has to be adjusted here. So I'm creating the skin tone, lightening up the skin tone right over the eyebrow, because that's exactly where there is a bit of highlighting. Yeah, here. So added that. Okay, cool. So that is taken care of now. The eyebrows line is even so light, so I'm going to work on that. I want it to be slightly darker than what I've done, but not too much, so I'm just relying on a minute bit of burnt umber to give a slight pokey highlight to the eyebrow. You say that is looking better, much better, but we'll have to work a little bit more. I can see I'm going to rely on my zero brush again, taking in a little more of the skin tone, and now I know where to lighten up and play around a little more. So my brush needs to be clean. I go on charging the lighter shadows ever so lightly because they are not too light as well. I want that richness of that crimson and brown that we added also to exist. So ever so lightly blending in the shades, playing around and building in the forehead. Yes, that is done. Now for the eye, we have kind of highlighted the eyelid area, but I'm just doing it a little more now. Here, okay, the flesh has got a slight bit of angle here. I'm just gonna create that, throwing in a bit more of the darker skin tone shade here. Now I see where the adjustments can be made. I'm going back to the hair color because I want this to come. It's a little too broad here. I want to adjust the base of the forehead here ever so lightly and bring the focus to the face here. That isn't happening, so just doing that. A couple of burnt umber strokes, not too much. Then the face lights up here nicely. So wiping off the brush, taking a little more of the skin tone to pull through the cheek, the blush of the cheek, play around a little more with a lighter tone here, pushing it up and down until it blends into one. Let's work on the upper lip section. Okay, now it's time for us to work a little bit on the lip and the teeth. So I'm starting with the teeth. A tiny bit of titanium white to first do the section where the teeth is, but I am just leaving out a tiny bit of spot in a way that I'm not filling it fully like this left to right. I'm just doing spots, so give it an effect that it is separate teeth. I'm using crimson, tiny bit of burnt umber to crimson, so it's a really dark crimson, to first start working on the underlip, and that's when I'm also leaving a tiny idea that there is space between the teeth, one can see. Doing that upper lip line as well. Okay, I understand that it's not a perfect V shape. It's a very thin lining. So I'm going to adjust it also very quickly. Yeah, cool. Getting there. So I'm going to adjust it very quickly with the skin tone. The lightest of the skin tone, let's use that to highlight the upper lip. That kind of arrives at the right time. Works the well. Good. Very good. Shading the upper lip a little further. I'm going to use tiny bit of black in the sections of the lip where there is, you cannot see a thing there. Yeah? The darker sections are highlighted. Now we work on a slight bit of lightness, so I'm just adding the slight skin tone to the front of the, very thin streak on the lip. And this is where I feel, okay, this is where it's a little complicated because I have, what do you call, a bump in my canvas. What's the bump? The bump is caused by a little excess of paint left out from the previous layer. So I have removed it. I used something of a metal, back of the metal, to just remove it now. And that matters really, especially in that sensitive area here. Lightening up the lip line. Okay, that works. I want to use that same lightness on the upper lip also, but not too much. So again, tip of my brush, playing with it with the lighter tone. See, with these nuances, really there is no end to it. It's up to you. You take a decision on which section, where exactly do you want to stop and why. Yeah. and stick to it the moment you are convinced with it. So I have, I'm going to take a little bit of crimson on in my micro brush to go around and create that smile. What do? We play around with it. I need a tiny bit of burnt umber, so it's going to create what we did in the previous, when we did the eyebrows as well. So it's going to create such an impression now. So I'm using that to leverage the shading here. Doing the same thing on the other side of her cheek. I'm using the lighter skin tone to highlight the space right underneath her lip line and this section of the jaw. You can blend things in nicely. I just want some more blush in her cheek here. I think I can do with that also a little bit here. This one has to come up a little bit. This contour coming up a little bit. I'm just deciding on where all I want things to come up. Cool. I guess this is fine. And then a tiny bit on the forehead. Also, the tip of her nose. Oh yes. Okay, ready for the blending in. I have kind of adjusted everything here. I am convinced with the look here on the neck very easily. And the lip line is correct, the teeth is correct, the nostrils are correct. I'm just looking at the angles where all I think I need to rework or such. Eyebrows are good. The eyes as such look slightly tired. Also kind of the shading going fairly, towards the skin tone. I'm using my own fingers to highlight and such, and I can see why it went tired. So I'm just going to do the crimson magic there also. to darken up with crimson rather. We want it to be dark, but we don't want it to look tired as well, you see. So there you go, adding the crimson here and pulling up the storyline better. Yes, that works much better than the previous attempt on this. Okay, that is cool. But what I could see is that the nostrils and the shape of the space between the nostril and the mouth, it looks okay, but it has to be defined even more clearly. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm just going to do that a little bit more. I'm taking a slight bit of crimson there also to define the curves of her nostril. That is fair enough. Now it is helpful to do the highlights. This has been, for a very challenging aspect of the skin tone that I'm experimenting as well. So I'm also finding it intriguing because there are so many layers to the way she looks that I want to capture. Okay, so I guess that is she looks really on the pinky side, and I kind of like it, but I want to work a little bit more on that. So I'm going to do something, take a tiny bit of burnt umber and throw it in the sections where I feel that it is a little too blushy and a little too fair, and try to balance it out because I feel that it is sort of unnatural. So this is what happens with all this experimenting, that we are getting the sometimes we are getting the angles right, we are getting the emotions right and such, but the color is slightly off. Yes, I think it is starting to balance out. I can feel it. So a minute bit of yellow ochre is changing the game now. Starting to balance out. Okay. And now I think we can play a little bit with the highlighting. Uh-oh, I added black. Oh no, shouldn't have done that. Do we play with this also? It's a beautiful stroke that happened accidentally, but I like the angle of it. And I'm just going to take in a bit more of this tonality to, okay, wrap it up there. Yes, fair enough. Okay. So this has been a lot of correction journey for me. That don't get carried away by crimson. So now I have to do a bit more of adjustment in the so her face looks cool. So she is sort of ready. I am taking in a tiny bit of burnt umber to accentuate and give an effect on the nostrils again. Just give a shadow here ever so lightly. The lighter highlights can go now, and we will work on the so I'm taking the tiny bit of titanium white to the nostril in this section, trying to see if I could add this highlight here. Okay, this one looks fair enough, but the color on her skin tone here needs to be adjusted one more time. Still in the process of adjusting, I think, because of the black that I added. Yeah, cool. I guess I am kind of in agreement with the face structure now, and also her look of it. I'm just going to adjust few things here close to this area to give slight darkness here to the ears, and also accentuate the section here. Cool. I guess we managed fine with this. I want to use a tiny bit of blue to kind of give a contour to this section of her cheek. Added that. Okay, I have managed fine, I guess. Um, there is a slight bit of adjustment I still want to make, but I think we can also come back to this when we work on the little baby girl's time. Let's finish off the hands also in this session. So we are going to continue. Yes, you can take a break, like I said, and so I'm ever so lightly blending in the colors here nicely on the hands, accentuating the shades, and luckily the shades look alright already. I need a tiny bit of crimson. Don't worry, I'm not going to do the tiny crimson issue again. I'm just adding the crimson ever so lightly in the areas where I want the blush to be, because she is looking slightly blushy here and I want that to come across as well in other sections. I'm just doing a tiny bit of addition to that and adding skin tone there and blending that in nicely. This hand is one, okay, gone very nice. There is another here, adding that tonality and blending that in nicely here. This one, the zones are coming out well, yeah. Nice. Sometimes, you need to, it's really hard to convince yourself. And I think I struggled today, and you saw me struggling here. That's part of the learning. Okay, so I'm going to do this and finish up this session. We will continue this session. So this class is going to continue for us in the next session as well, where we work on the baby girl's face. There's quite a bit of adjustments to work on there as well. So we'll do that. And then we'll see if there is anything else that we could do with the skin tones. I think I have managed to shade the, highlight this portion ever so lightly here in the fingers, the arms and such, nicely. Alright, I guess this is a good place for us to make a stop, but we will come back to the same lesson in the next class for the baby girl. I hope you have found this interesting, challenging. Like I said, take a pause and do it, step by step. You will get there. We will meet up in the next session, which will be a continuation of this session for this baby girl's skin tone. Until such time, yes, do stay blessed, stay happy, stay healthy, stay motivated, stay curious. Let's meet up. Bye bye.